Okay, hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Dex podcast. I'm here with actually a great builder, but he's also a good friend of mine. His name is Tony McKlem of Hollywood Decks. And I know Tony's got a great backstory, and I'm really interested in hearing that, Tony. So thank you for coming to our podcast. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I appreciate the invite. Congratulations, man. How many episodes are you in now?
This is 13.
Yeah, you're lucky 13, man.
I'll take it, brother. I'll take it. Congratulations. I know it's quite a feat. And I remember you mentioning when you wanted to get this off the ground.
Yeah.
But 13 episodes in, brother, is a good milestone, man. So
Yeah,
thanks,
we don't know.
thanks for making the
Thank
time
you.
for me.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for coming.
Yeah, we're grateful.
You don't know what it means to us.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
So
man.
I'll be honest with you. Like, and Calvin, you can cut this if you want, but
Mark.
I'll be honest with you, Tony. We've had a couple guys that, I want to have people on the show that are especially for the first 15, 20, 30 episodes. Big names, heavy hitters, industry leaders, big on social media sometimes, that kind of thing. And we've actually had a couple people that have let us down a little bit, and it's so nice to have somebody that's just reliable, that is happy to be here, that has a smile on your face, man.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful, and I know that we've had some connectivity issues today. We're running about a half hour behind because of that, but hey,
But you showed up.
you showed
man.
up, and you didn't ghost me.
No,
You
not
weren't-
at all, brother. Not at all. And
You weren't a builder or builders that just decided. When I talked to you yesterday and you said, "Yep, we're on," and then you showed up today, that's like A+ for you.
My man. I appreciate it, but I'll share this with you too. And maybe this kind of comes back to what you're mentioning right now in terms of who you've reached out to. So for me specifically, I remember watching you on YouTube, brother, a good maybe 10, 11 years ago. Cats like you, the Perkins brothers, Matt Panella, Matt Banks Woods,
Mm-hmm.
Essential Craftsman. I don't know if you follow that older
Yep.
gentleman.
Yeah, I was on. Yep.
But I distinctly remember, I mean, well into 10, 11, 12 years ago, watching some of you guys.
Wow.
And this was when I was still right in my other world, in my other secular job. So, brother, on the contrary, to be here chatting with you,
Oh man.
just from those 12 years ago, brother, it means a lot, man. So
Cool.
I appreciate you.
Hey,
I appreciate the
that's a
time.
nugget. That's a nugget right there, and you warmed my heart, bro. Because we're gonna get into it though. So, but before
Yeah.
we get into any of that, oh, by the way, are we still doing the bonus feature?
Yeah.
Bonus episode?
Yeah.
I can't get it right. It's called a bonus episode. So what we do, Tony, is we go for about an hour,
Yep.
and we have a free podcast, right? And then we go for about a half an hour, and we save some of the juicy stuff for that half hour. So any arrests or DWIs or anything like that you want to talk about, we get into that after, because it's a paid subscription. It's a Patreon channel, and we have, if you want to share it with all 3 of our subscribers.
Yeah. Yep. I've got
Okay.
a story for you, brother.
I just love it, man. I bring out the best in my guests, I swear. You
I'm
guys
in
are
for
awesome.
this. I'm on
Okay,
board.
so save it. So save it, okay? Anything that's really risky or
This is,
risque.
and I'm going to tell you something. I'm from the West Coast, and for those
Yeah.
of you that listen to Tupac, and there's a line in one of his songs that says, "In fear of a felony." We'll talk
There's your
about
teaser.
that. We'll talk about that. Yeah, on the next
Okay.
bonus episode.
Okay. So there you go, guys. There's your teaser to subscribe to our Patreon channel. It's only as little as $5 a month,
Yep.
but you can be a
If you wanna-
gangster and pay $50 a month if you want the full experience.
If you want to hear about West Coast Tupac and fear of a
Yeah,
felony,
I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it right now, but we're going to go back, Tony. We're going to go back. Okay, McKlem. Now,
Yeah, bro.
that's not a Spanish name,
No.
is it?
Can
Okay,
you,
I
can you
didn't-
see? Can you see the Irish? There's an Irishman in here.
I kind of
Smart.
feel it. I maybe don't
Yeah.
see it as much as I feel it. You're bilingual or trilingual, right?
Yeah, trilingual. Yeah.
That's awesome. But again, let's save that for a minute. We're gonna get into it. But what I like to do with my guests is I want to go back to your childhood. And did you
Yeah.
grow up in California?
Yeah, born and raised in California.
What part?
So my dad got a job at the Paramount Studios on Melrose Boulevard,
Yeah.
and so we moved to the Hollywood area when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
And Los Angeles, I mean Hollywood Boulevard, Fairfax, Santa Monica. That's home, man. Pacific Palisades were
Wow.
just burned down. My wife and I used to take several dates out to Pacific Palisades and walk around the mountains and ride bike and see all the golf courses. So yeah, home is Los Angeles, man.
Okay. So does that so at 8 years old, you started grade school. So you went to like grade school in that area.
Yeah, so I went to Santa Monica Elementary. That's right
Okay.
smack dab in Santa Monica Boulevard. We went to elementary there, and then we went to King Middle School in Los Feliz area, Los Feliz, up
Okay.
by the Griffith Park area. And then we went to John Marshall High School, same in the Los Feliz area. Fun fact: John Marshall High School is the same high school that Leonardo DiCaprio dropped out from.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
So yeah, that's
Awesome.
where we went.
Interesting. Okay, so let's go back to middle school. So, did you do any sports, or were you into any academics or clubs or anything like that, or what were your hobbies in junior high?
Yeah, and junior high was when I got my growth spurt. So that was super exciting.
Yeah.
And
What
that
was that
was that
like?
was yeah, that was my basketball phase. So in
Okay.
middle school, just I came back one summer and I was like pushing 5'11", 6 feet. And there was only
Wow.
two of us in the school that were just about that height. And it was just basketball all day, every day. I used to get to school early before school started to play ball. Nutrition and lunch, I was playing ball. After school, I was playing ball. But my parents never let me play it in the school teams, so I was not allowed to
What?
join. Yeah, I was
How
not allowed to
come?
join teams, just for whatever
Oh.
reasons. So all middle school, I played ball on my own, never joined a team, and you know I. I was definitely a studious kid, so A's and B's. Maybe in middle school I got 1D somewhere around there, and then I just brought it
Mm-hmm.
right back up. But basketball was definitely my sport. I was a little more social in middle school than I was in high school. High school was just the complete opposite of what I
Yeah.
was in middle school. Yeah.
So, were you playing a lot of street ball back then?
Yeah,
Like,
in middle school, yeah. In middle
yeah.
school, it was like just I mean, on weekends, I would go play ball. I was just constantly playing basketball in middle school.
Cool. All
Um,
right. Did you have the cool sneakers back then?
yeah, I remember going to the store one time and asking my dad for a $80 pair of Nike
Ooh.
basketball shoes.
Back then, that was a
And
lot
my
of
dad
dough.
was like, $80? What are you crazy? And I was like, yeah, dad, but they're, real nice shoes. And, for basketball, he bought them for me. I mean, I
Wow.
got an earful,
Nice.
but I remember these just black, beautiful Nikes, high tops with like blue sole. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful pair of shoes. Those were my first expensive $80 pair of Nike
Wow.
shoes
How
that
cool is
felt.
that?
Yeah,
Oh, love it. Hey, if you hear some lawnmowers in the background, guys, we are on an active job site. That's what's so cool about the Dr. Dex podcast.
yeah.
We're straight at work, man. I could like get up and go do something and nail a screw or put in something in the decking. So,
And I have to fix it.
yeah. Okay, cool. So then you said so you were active playing some basketball in your middle school days, and then high school. You said you kind of turned a little bit, and what changed?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of different reasons. One of them being during ninth grade. Yeah, ninth grade, I had to go to a different school, so I didn't move along with my class. I
Oh.
ended up having to go to a different school for my ninth grade year, and then by the time I caught up to them, um, it was just disconnect, and it just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the same crowd that I knew.
Right.
Um, and I became a loner. I was a straight loner in high school, like just
Mm.
no ball. It was just all like just artsy and classwork and just kind of like extracurricular academic activities.
Hmm.
Yeah, so high school, I didn't relate to any crowd or any people. It
Okay.
was just more into my studies. Um,
Okay.
and that was all right. I think it was a good balance from my middle school days to my high school days.
All right. So during high school, were you into girls or into just straight academics or
No, so I
um
think, if there were any girl moments, it was more middle school. High school was
okay.
just all academics. I mean,
Wow, you really went a
you're
180 there, bro.
yeah, yeah. No, during high school, I was just, I mean, literally, you would catch me nutrition and lunch in a classroom. I would either be in my art class or my graphic design class
Okay.
or my English class.
So
Um,
did you do like graphic like some of those art classes and some of those things like in high school that we did, like the kids don't have the opportunity to do nowadays, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Which I'm bummed. Like wood shop was my all-time favorite class I ever had, uh, all through junior high and high school. You know, and
yeah,
I took auto. I was good at auto mechanics too, but like wood shop for me was it. I used to
yeah.
make some of the coolest beer steins known to mankind, and I use
Really?
them. Oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
used them every weekend until they got confiscated. You know, but
We
but
had
that's
Yeah,
yeah. Tell me about it.
I had a graphic arts class, graphic design, and I
Yeah,
was hooked. Mr. Fortenberry, outstanding
yeah.
teacher, and it was everything from how do you take just a concept, just an idea, put that on the computer, rendering 3D design, put that in the machine into silk screening, into a press. We used to
Okay.
print. We used to print and design, T-shirts, gift cards,
Oh, that's cool.
business cards,
That's really cool.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And we would take it just from concept, from
I,
idea to actual
I would
fulfillment.
have taken that class. Hey, so what year was that? Let's put this in context.
So I graduated middle school 2000,
Okay, so
and
back when I was in junior high school, they didn't have computers to do
yeah,
any
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
graphic design on. So I'm kind of dating myself right now, but
Yeah,
what a cool thing to do, to a
yeah.
trade to go into, like that could open up a lot of doors for a lot of
Oh
kids
yeah, I
to
was
be on the
hooked.
computer and teach you how to design.
Yeah, I was hooked, and I loved that. It was just this big old warehouse, and half of it was the classroom setting, the desks, the computers, and the other half was the actual machines. Right? We had these like
Wow.
huge silk screening machines and these like paper presses and multicolor. So it was just full on from beginning to end, the full process of what a graphic design was.
How
And I
cool.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that's what I wanted to do. That's what I went to college for.
No
Um,
kidding.
yeah, I went to college for graphic arts. I was
Dude, how cool is that?
That was my goal. I went to college to get a small business certificate in graphic communications, and my major was graphic communications, and my minor was I guess it was finance,
Hmm.
because they said for you to obtain this or to complete this course, you have to know the business administration side of it.
Okay.
And
Well,
so,
that's smart. That's
yeah,
that's
when
kind
we
of
went to
smart, you know.
college, yeah, when I went to college for business or for graphic communications
Hmm.
and finance at the bottom of it, somewhere along that flipped, and then I just ended up going full finance, and then
Yeah.
just killed the graphic arts and graphic communications part
Are
of it,
are
which
you still good? Are you still good at graphic arts?
I mean, I miss it. I still like it. I wish I was still kind of up to date. I know there's so much technology, right? And the iPads and the Apple Pen, and like there's so much more you can do now.
Hmm.
So I wish I was able to spend a little more time in the graphic communications part of it. Not as much. I designed our logo. I think our logo is what took me a couple of days, and that's probably the most
Well,
I've done
that's a
these
really
last
that's a
2 weeks.
really nice logo, and that was one of the questions I was going to come out with, but you already brought it up. The
Yeah,
logo for your current company is very attractive. It has
yeah.
a nice look. It's really handsome. So we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yep.
So okay, all right. So you get out of high school. You're kind of through that, and you go to college. Where's this? Where are you going to college?
Pasadena. I went to school in Pasadena, and there was a great school there that yeah, focused on graphic communications. And so when I started there, my wife had already taken sign language. I'm gonna double dip into this story. She had
Hmm.
already taken sign language in high school because her high school offered it.
Cool.
But when we both went to college there in Pasadena, being a great boyfriend, I was like, I'm gonna learn some sign language too, so I can support her.
Good
Um,
deal.
so during college, when I was taking my graphic communications, my finance, I was also taking some American Sign Language, and we got super involved, super just like sponged up the entire deaf culture. And that was a fun run.
Wow.
But yeah, so college
Yeah.
was pretty intense, but it was
So
a
you're actually
great fun.
quadlingual then, because you didn't say anything about sign language.
Yeah, well, that's the third one.
Oh, that's the third one. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought maybe you had a fourth.
yeah,
But
not
you
yet, not
speak
yet.
your English and Spanish and sign language.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay. All right,
those
got it.
I can dominate fluently. Like I feel comfortable
I
interpreting and
really
translating.
I had no idea that you were fluent in sign language, and you just upped levels with me, man, because I think that is really radical. That is
um,
really cool. Like,
it's
I'm
been
next
yeah,
time I need a sign language lesson, I'm gonna just find you at a show and say, hey, how do I
absolutely,
say this?
absolutely, man. Yeah,
Cool.
it's been a story all on its own.
So you
Um,
majored in finance?
Yeah, and so when I was taking the courses in college, yeah, they said you got to take finance, you got to be able to do that. And somewhere along the lines in college, I still don't know why, but I ended up shifting to major in graphic communications, and then I was just like, I kind of like this finance stuff, and I stayed with the finance stuff. And I think maybe in part was because I know there's maybe more work or whatever it was, or maybe just a higher pay was also more in the finance world than the graphic communications. And I had heard that, for you to have a business in graphic communications, and even now, right, to have a print business, for shirts and for cards, right, it's kind of tough, right? Like, unless you're well established, it's kind of tough to
Yeah.
take that business off. So for whatever reason, yeah, I shifted, and I went into finance. And so when I graduated college, my first job was a bank teller. I
Oh,
went to
wow.
go work at a bank, and um, man, it was just different times. So I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't want to work like at a grocery store or like at a Starbucks, right? Like, props to everybody who starts there, but it wasn't for me. And to the date, I'll say it, I probably would not survive in the food industry. Like, if somebody sends back a plate, like, I would probably toss it back at them, right? Like, it is cutthroat to work in the food industry, right? To serve and to work in the food industry. So I knew I wanted a job, like a professional job, right? I was like, I want to
Hmm.
work in finance. I want to work in a bank. So I dressed up, suited up, got me a little tie, printed a bunch of my resumes, and at that point, I hadn't done a secular job, but between school and the graphic communications and some of the jobs I had done with my teacher to, like, design and print. Anywho, just I polished it up real well, and I drove around. So near the areas that I lived, I knew the branches and the banks that were there. I dressed up, printed dozens of resumes. I would park, I would walk into a bank and say, "May I speak to the manager or supervisor?" Right? Obviously, they would point to the nice, glass corner or the big desk in the
Hmm.
corner. I'd go knock on the door and just say, "My name's Tony." Right? I just want to introduce myself and get to know you. Here's my resume. Are you hiring? And if you're not, just please keep my resume and keep me in mind. And I would walk out. And for the most part, that was it. I did that for days. Just drive around, drop a resume, drop a resume. And it got so it got so bad that I extended the right the the circle of where I was looking, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna start closer to home and hit those branches. And then it just, like, it kept getting bigger, and I was like, man, nobody's calling me back. But sure enough, one of the first branches that I had dropped off a resume at, which was like walking distance from my house, a few blocks over, he calls me and he says, "Hey, you stopped by." He says, "I'd like to interview you." And I was like, "All
Cool.
right, yeah, right." So I dressed up, drove over to the branch, and he hired me.
Cool.
And to the date, I still keep in contact with that fella.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, so he took a shot on me, and that was my life for, man, for 11 years in finance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you started out as a bank teller?
Started off as a bank teller, then moved up to a bank supervisor within like 6 months. Um,
Wow.
and then, like, 3 months later, So yeah, about 9 months from working there, because I told him, right, I was like, hey, I want to do more. I want to do more. So the manager comes over and he says, look, I don't know what you have. He's like, but you got this little spunk in you. He goes, and if you want to fly, he says, then I'm going to let you fly. I said, hey, I'm up for it. Whatever promotion you got, whatever position you got, I'm up for it. So he says, all right, I'm going to let you fly. He goes, but here's the catch. You're going to have to leave the branch. You have to go through a 3-month, pretty crash test
Wow.
course, because that position requires you to be licensed. You have to have your Series 6,
Ah.
63, Life and Health, Property and Cat. You have to have your licenses to be a banker in this organization, in this company. He goes, here's what happens. You leave your teller supervisor position. You're gone for 3 months. We need to fill that teller supervisor position. So once you leave, that's gone. And if you don't come back after those 3 months with your licenses, you don't have a position.
Hmm.
So I was
Low
like, let
pressure.
me at him. Send me in, coach, right? I was like, I got it. So he's like, all right, right. And back then, yeah, I was fresh out of college. I think I was like 19. And so he's like, all right, if you're game, I'm game. All right. So besides the finance that I already come out with in college, I had to go and get licensed with the state of California. And so it's a pretty tedious process. You got to go learn in books and books, and you're in there, yeah, 2 months, just like pressing hard on laws and etiquette and all sorts of good stuff on finance and investments. And then the third month is just like a practice on the test. And then they send you in and you have to pay to get that test taken. Anywho, I got 2 out of the 3 licenses on the first take, and I didn't pass the third license.
Hmm.
So I came back to the branch and I was like, I'm 2 out of 3. I was like, that's not bad. He goes, yeah, that's not bad. He goes, but you need all 3. So he goes, well, you're gonna have to pay for a second one. He goes, you're still within your 3-month window or whatever. He's like, you can still get it within your 90-day window. So go take the test, pay it, and hopefully you get it. So I went back, took a test, and passed it. So within the 90 days, I came back as a fully licensed banker. Um, yeah, and that
Wow.
was that was
That is
less than a
awesome.
yeah that was within a year of me starting at that job.
That's incredible. How cool.
Um,
I had
and
no
then and
idea.
then
Had no
yeah,
idea.
and then it just kept coming up, and there was different positions. Obviously, right? There's different promotions. There was an investments position. So beside the banker, he said, if you want to go get more licenses, then you can get into investments. So then I went back, took more courses, got more licenses. And so I went deep into the world of finance and investments.
All right, so sorry about that, guys. We have again just having some connection issues here, but we're gonna get through this. So Tony, you did the banker thing. You got more credentials. You became what? You after those credentials? Where'd you go into with the bank?
So I did investments for a little bit. I ended up going from a banker to investments. We did investments for a few months. Um, and then I left. Yeah, I left the bank. I went to go do fiscal and administrative work for school districts for LAUSD. I worked for several years for the school district. Different roles, different positions and departments. Uh, I worked for different banks, different school. I went to Burbank Unified School District, U.S. Bank. I had my own agency at some point, so I had my own book of clients and wealth management and insurance and finance and investments. You had an office in downtown Los Angeles at the Wells Fargo building.
You did?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah. I
that's
used to
cool.
work. I used to work in downtown office. I had one of those real nice, corner offices with the glass view overlooking the U.S. Bank Tower and the new Korean Air
Wow.
International building. Yeah, I worked in downtown Los Angeles for a few years, and that is
Okay.
actually when. Now, mind you, I just fast forwarded, 10, 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I hit that wall real bad, and I got out of finance and investments now.
Okay, so you hit the wall.
Yeah,
You're just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm
yeah,
just whatever reasons you have, like stress or whatever.
yeah,
Just can't. I just can't.
yep.
Well, what am I going to do now?
That was exactly it, and it was a pretty dark place for a few weeks. I didn't know what to do, right? Because that's all I knew. Just, but I didn't want to be in the office anymore. I didn't want to do the suit and tie anymore. Um, but what happened was for those 10 years that I was working in the office, I had a real good buddy of mine who did a lot of volunteer work. So Habitat for Humanities and libraries and churches and homes if they were burnt or just damaged. And he called me and he said, "Hey, would you be interested in helping me out in a project?"
Hmm.
And I was like, "Well, yeah, I got, I guess evenings and weekends. I didn't have kids back then. Yeah, my wife and I were dating when I started doing this. Um, so I volunteered into construction just to help my buddy out. Um, and I did that for 10 years without making a single cent.
What? How'd you afford
So,
that?
well, because I had my job, because I was working at the office.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
evenings and weekends, I'd get home, take the tie off, take off the blazer, put on a little tool belt and jeans, and then go work. Um, and so for 10 years, there were different phases, obviously, of construction. And this, but his name is Freddie. He's still out in Los Angeles, still builds in Los Angeles. Shout out to Freddie. Um, Freddie taught me everything I know from framing. So he used to run specifically a framing crew in Los Angeles, and I was like, I just love the woodwork. I love framing. And I remember when I started it, he's like, if you want to volunteer and you really want to do this, just know that framing is probably one of the more expensive, fields you can be in because of all the tools and materials and this is volunteer work. So you're going to volunteer yourself to do this. That means you have to come up with your own goods and tools. I was like,
Mm.
yeah, I'm in, man. So yeah, throughout those 10 years, it got to the point where I was comfortable reading blueprints and running crews and we were doing not only residential but commercial because we were doing larger buildings and industrial, and we were doing hospitals and all sorts of nice, fun builds. Um, and so when I hit that wall and I was like, I don't know what to do, well, I had a truck outside with tools, and I had some experience in construction because I had volunteered for 10 years without making a single penny.
Hmm.
And so I told my wife, I was like, well, I'm going to go, I guess I'm going to go work in construction till I figure out what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do, but bills don't stop, right? We
Right.
gotta keep making money.
That's right.
Um, and I'll share this with you. So I was at home for like 3 weeks, just in a funk. Like you don't want to
Hmm.
get up, you don't want to
Right.
eat, just no energy, just down and out. It was a dark time, and I had two boys then, my two sons, and they were younger. I mean, this was years ago. Um, but so I made some sandwiches. I sat at the table with my two boys, and I asked my younger one. My younger one's always been a little more mature. My younger son's always just been this like just level-headed. He's got that old soul, that little old man feel to him.
Hmm.
And so I said, "Hey man, would you mind just saying grace or just blessing the food, right, so we can have lunch?" And so it's just us at the table, and my younger boy just hits this like home run prayer, right? Just like hey God, please help dad be happy and please help him find a job, so he can make money and, not be here sad at home. Right. And so, I say amen and I'm running to the bathroom, just like bawling my eyes out. Right. Cause I was like, I got to snap out of this. Um, and so, yeah, I started calling just a lot more emphatically companies saying, hey, I got a truck, tools, and experience. And I got tons of calls back, tons of them,
Mm.
right? Because everybody in Los Angeles construction, everybody was like, "You got
Yeah.
tools, truck, and experience? Show up!" Right? Um,
Can
and
you be on
so,
time?
yeah, and so I got a lot of callbacks, and I went to my first job, secular job, because I'd never done this real world.
Hmm.
Was we were building custom homes in El Segundo in the LAX in the airport area of Los Angeles. Um, we were building these beautiful 2, 3 story homes from scratch. I mean, we literally show up
Mm.
to a dirt lot and let's dig out some 5 foot by 3 foot footings and stem walls and pour and rebar, dig out. Um, and my body was like, "What are you doing?" Right? My body was
Yeah.
like, well, "You are not sitting behind a desk now. What is going on?" So yeah, I was framing houses. That was an experience. Yeah, I was rubbing Ben Gay and ice baths on myself every day.
Wow,
Um,
man.
yeah, so we were building custom homes, and we went from building custom homes in Los Angeles to doing some retrofitting and foundation work. Back then, there was a proposition passed in California that said any building prior to 1971, I think, or 1970, had to be retrofitted for seismic activity. And so all the buildings in California had to be retrofitted. And so everybody
Hmm.
got into that industry and everybody was like, yeah, we're going to retrofit and do some foundation work. And so another buddy called me and he was like, hey, do you want to do some concrete work? I said, yeah, I'm game. I was like, I'm tired of going up 2, 3 stories and yeah, decking roofs. And yeah, that was just horrible. So I went to go do some foundation work for a little bit. And then somewhere along the lines, I found Victor, who you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and we went with him uh, building decks in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard, like on Hollywood Boulevard. And it's funny because with him, he's a great fellow, man. Shout out to Victor too. I
He's on
think
my list. He won't be on our podcast, but he's on my list.
we'll get him, we'll get him.
Yeah, we got to get him.
Um,
His
but
son Roy said he would, but yeah, I want
yeah,
Victor.
yeah. With him, he doesn't share much, right? He's a very focused gentleman. Um,
Hmm.
but me and my background and my numbers head was just like, hey Vic, if you got these many projects and you have these many crews and material costs this much, but you're collecting this much, so I'm doing all these numbers in my head, and I was like, hey Vic, I was like, are you generating this much off decks? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, you don't have to tell me. I go, but I've seen the numbers building a home. I've seen the numbers doing concrete and foundation work. And I'm like, holy smokes, like just the decks are so much easier, quicker cash flow, lower overhead, right? Like just the profit margins are
Hmm.
different. And so I'm
Hmm.
doing all these numbers in my head and I was like, man, he's got something going here. And so it was a good run. So yeah, we did a lot of work with Vic. It was an amazing run. But my
So, were
wife
you
and
a
I,
subcontractor? Were you a subcontractor for those guys,
yeah,
or
yeah. So when I started with them,
okay?
yeah, when I started with them. That's what we were doing.
How,
Um,
how long were you with LA Dex for?
I'm gonna say I don't know, 2 years, maybe 2 years or three
Okay.
years, two and change.
Hmm.
Um, and him and I would sit, right, and Noah and I would sit, and I think they noticed, they're like, this cat's a little different, right? This cat's got a different perspective. But I was like, look, I'm learning, man, and I stay learning, and that's what I tell folks all the time. If you're willing to sit and teach, I'll absolutely take it in. But my wife and I already spoke about moving. It took us 2 years to plan and to make sure we made a smart decision, and so we finally pulled the trigger and we moved to Florida. And I remember sitting with Vic and I was like, what do we do? Do we partner? Do we branch off? Do we
Hmm.
bring the Hollywood or bring the LA Dex name to Florida? And I was like, man, it's hard enough. Like in the same town, it's hard enough syncing up and being on the same page in the same town. There's no way I'm going to be 3,000 miles around and for us to be able to do that. So we
Yeah.
just parted ways, shook hands, and then we started from scratch all over here in Florida.
So, is that when you started Hollywood Dex?
Yeah, so we moved out here. We had one job already lined up. Everything kind of fell into place during this move, so it was such a smooth transition. And we had one job, but actually in California, I had already registered, and we had already discussed opening up a company here. And my wife we threw out a couple of ideas, and my wife was the one that actually suggested Hollywood Decks. And I was like, there's no way that's available. I was like, some of these like good names are taken up so
Mm-hmm.
quickly. And so when I searched it up, I was like, holy smokes.
That's
Nobody's taken
awesome.
Hollywood Decks yet. Yeah. So we
That's
registered
really
it.
good. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kiki
So
thought of Dr. Dex.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, so our wives are the
Oh.
ones. So what was a Hollywood reference to? Was it Hollywood, Florida, Hollywood, California, or?
Well, so both. So we're born and raised, right? We've been in Hollywood. I've built in Hollywood, California. I have family here in Florida, both in North Florida and South Florida. So we've been to North Florida. We've been down to Hollywood, Florida. I've built
Mm-hmm.
in Hollywood, Florida too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's
That makes sense.
I've built in both Hollywoods. I'm from Hollywood. It's got a real good ring to it. It's got some weight, right? It's easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. Yeah. So my wife suggested it, and we caught it.
So what year was it when you moved to Florida and started Hollywood Dex?
We moved 2000. We moved 2000 right
During
before the
COVID?
pandemic. Right,
Right
like
before.
as it was. Yeah, as it was. We moved April, and it is.
So you
I
moved
think
to a
that's
good
when it was.
state for the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we had we had planned on moving. Like I said, it took us a couple of years to finally
Mm-hmm.
pull the trigger.
Right?
But we had actually planned on doing a whole cross country trip with our kids, right? We're like, hey, wouldn't it be great to just like rent an RV and just, enjoy the trip across country? And that was the idea until, COVID happened. And we're like, forget it, pack up the cars and let's just shoot straight. So we drove 3 days straight, just to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no
Wow.
stops.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So then you get to Florida. And what part of Florida are you in? Are you in Hollywood, Florida?
So we're in North Florida. We're based out of Fernandina Beach. We're in Amelia Island. So it's funny how everybody knows Pensacola, right? Everybody knows the Panhandle. Everybody knows the
Mm-hmm.
Keys, right down south, the islands in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody knows this other corner of Florida, which is Amelia Island. Nobody knows. This is where we dive. Pretty much the furthest, last northeast point of Florida is Amelia Island. To my
Mm.
to my right is the ocean, and we just die into
Mm-hmm.
the ocean. And right above me is Georgia. So we're the last corner of Florida up
Okay.
here. It's a great area. We loved it. We would come visit here. And when we came to visit, we really liked it. It's a real small town, good town for our kids and our family. So we're based out of Amelia Island, up here in
Okay.
Northeast Florida.
Cool. All right. So for the last 5 years, no, 20
Yeah, yeah, 5 years now.
years.
Went by
For the
so
last
quick.
5 years, I know you've had this company, and you are what's your range? Like, where do you service?
In terms of the area,
Mm-hmm.
we primarily service, so it's about a 2 hour radius, I call it. We primarily service Northeast
Mm-hmm.
Florida and Southeast Georgia. We do go into Georgia a little bit.
Okay.
Um, there's
Mm-hmm.
two counties here nearby, St. Mary's and Kingsland, that are just, I mean, we're 10 minutes away from Georgia.
Cool.
Jacksonville is the largest, city here in North Florida. We're 45 minutes north of Jacksonville, but we're 10 minutes from Georgia.
Oh
So
wow.
it's actually closer for us to go up to Georgia than to go down into Jacksonville.
Gotcha. So
But
do
we
you
st-
have to be licensed in both states for as a contractor to
so
work in
we are
Georgia as well?
registered. Yeah, so we are registered in both states, and we do
Cool.
have our insurance in both states.
Mm.
At one time we considered it because we're like, it's a whole lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Um, but every now and then a project would come up. We don't push it. There was a year that we did a lot of projects up in Georgia. We don't, it's got to be a right project, so we don't push it much.
Sure. Sure. And then how many teams do you have right now, or how many
So
people
we
working with
currently,
you?
yep. So we currently have three teams. One is a full-time team, two are sub crews, and we pull them as we need, depending on the size or depending on the schedule. We'll
Mm.
bring in a larger crowd. But it
Okay.
works. It's a real good flow. When I first got here that first year, you know, coming from LA, and we were running, I think LA was running like a good 10, 12 crews out there.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we're going to do it, right? We're going to go big and we're going to take over North Florida. Holy smokes. Not only is there like a lack of hands here, but yeah, it's a significantly smaller budget here than it is in Los Angeles. It's hard. It's much better to keep it at a smaller scale here. So yeah, the first year I was here, I was like, yeah, we're gonna build crews, and I started just hiring a bunch of guys, and it was just a headache. I mean, everybody talks a big game, but I
Of
remember that
course.
first year, one of the crews, I came back to a project site, and there was Sharpie all over the decks, all over.
Ah.
That's how they were marking all the deck boards, with Sharpies.
Oh no.
And I was like, and I was like, oh man. And I remember I let my foreman have it, because he was running one of the crews, and he was like, that's not my responsibility. And I was like, oh, all right, okay. So yeah, I scaled it back. I was like, yeah, there's no way we're gonna be able to do this like that. And I enjoy it, right? One of the things I say too is, I enjoy what I do, and I want to keep enjoying it. So I don't want a headache. We keep it simple. We know what we're good at, and we know what we're not good at. So we'll just focus on what we're good at.
So are you still part of the crew, or do you run the sales and run the business, or what's your role right now?
No, so I enjoy building. We still put our tools on, and we're on site, and we're still building. There's a couple of different just goals in terms of the business, and just a couple of other ventures that I'm trying to take off right now. But no,
Mm-hmm.
we're absolutely on site, and we're working.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, one of those ventures I'll talk to you about in our um, bonus
Bonus, yeah,
episode.
that's a good
Nice.
In our
idea.
bonus episode.
Already.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Which is coming up pretty quick. Okay, so that's where we're at. So you've got your cruise, but you're also on site, and you've been at it for 5 years, doing really well. We're both big advocates of the TimberTech and AZEC products.
Yes, sir.
I bleed AZEC, man. I'm an AZEC dude through and through. I noticed that
Absolutely.
you were using a lot of OC stuff. I don't know if you still are or not. What's your stance on alternative framing materials and products and things like that?
And so, coming from the West Coast, there was obviously a significant amount of products available. And we can go across the whole span, and we've used a lot of them out on the West Coast. But coming out here,
Mm-hmm.
I realized just supply is scarce. And it's like having to scrape the bottom of the barrel for us to get a hold of anything. And so when
Mm.
I moved here, actually, one of my suppliers, um, introduced me to WearDeck back then, and he was like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually Florida based, and they're here 3 hours away, and here's a manufacturing plant." And so, not till I moved here did I hear about it, and we went and we learned about it. We found out about it. Cost was significantly lower back then, and it was a mom and pop shop business back then. It was literally just the dad and the kids and their team and families. And I loved it. It was it is a great made product. The composition of the actual board is phenomenal, unlike anything else out in the market. But when it was acquired by Owens Corning, right, and Owens Corning injected a bunch of money on it, that's when they had also the concept of structural composite lumber. And so, yeah, we were fortunate. We were fortunate enough to be invited a few years ago, 3 years ago, to the manufacturing plant here in Ocala. And we built about 4,000 square feet of boardwalks and decks and benches
Yeah.
and planners and all sorts of fun stuff. So their entire manufacturing plant here in Ocala, we spent about 3 months building everything there. And it was such a blast. But
Incredible.
we were also able to test and have engineers on site, and we can, shoot ideas, and they would bring samples out of the test room and be like, try to cut it, or build it with this. And it was a great 3 months. We learned a lot off each other, and it was an interesting conversation to have a back and forth with an engineer who actually designed and made the product, and showing them here's what it's doing in real world, right? And they're like, oh, we never would have figured that out behind the computer. It was so
Right.
so much learning.
That's so
But so
cool.
ultimately, I guess to answer your question is, yeah, Owens Corning lumber is an impressive product. We frame majority of our projects with it, just because wood is just getting worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, 99% of our decking is Azek TimberTech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I got my hands on some of the 2x12s, the new 2x12s,
I heard.
and I feel like those are not just game changing. I feel that those are industry changing
Oh yeah.
materials. Even though
Oh,
even though they're heavy and they're very dense, they still you can cut them into a stair stringer and they're still structural. That you see the fiberglass in it. But
mhm.
we just built two massive staircases out of that stuff, and I use their posts, which I'm a little reserved on, but I get it.
Yeah,
I
because they're
get because of
hollowed.
how they're made.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't want to run bolts through everything that you do. Sometimes you just want to run a fastener through it and
Yeah.
call it good.
Yeah.
But man, those 2x12s are something else, man. They really are, and I couldn't believe how straight they were.
And then going back, I mean, you've been in this game longer, right? But going back, even 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the products, the tools, right? The
Mm-hmm.
process to build the deck nowadays than what it used to be, right? 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Surreal, right? Surreal. You can
yeah,
lay down 200, 300 square foot in a day now, right? Between the
yeah.
helicals and the framing and the decking and the fasteners. It's
Yep.
it's it's become so efficiently innovative for us to install a deck. Whereas, when I go back and I see some cats out there still, on their hands and knees and doing the old pressure treated handyman special, I'm like, guys, yeah, you
Yep.
gotta you gotta up your games, guys. You gotta.
Oh man, there's so much. I never knew like 30 years ago what the outdoor living sector would look like. There was no internet back then.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was no YouTube. I mean, everything I did was School of Hard Knocks. But nowadays, there's a lot of guys learning a lot from people like us that are putting our information out on the internet.
Also, I gotta ask, who taught you? Is there a name? Where did you learn from? Who did you learn from?
I took a small. I worked with my father for about a year and a half. I didn't learn a whole lot from him, but I learned a little bit. And then everything else I learned by trial and error.
Really?
Yeah, trial and error. No, I
Like
didn't
like
have an
like
understudy. I didn't.
like framing,
Go ahead.
decking, like just the whole, like you
Yeah,
just
all of
figured
it.
it out?
Yeah, I figured it out. Just like
What?
deckboard bending. Just like deckboard bending, man. That was an expensive learning curve, but just like deckboard bending, I've learned, like I've figured it out. I've had a little bit of assistance here and there, okay, but nothing that would say, hey, I contribute this section of my abilities to this person. If
Really?
I got to give anything to anybody for any set of my skills, is the man upstairs.
I hear you.
I
Amen to
think I
that,
think
brother.
God gave me a set of abilities that I just learned how to exploit. Like I
Absolutely.
exploit the abilities that I've been given.
He gives everybody a gift, and he gives it to you for a reason. He didn't
Yeah,
give it to anybody else. He gave it
yeah,
to you, right? And it's
yeah,
unfair for those
Eh,
that don't recognize their gift or that don't use their gift.
yeah,
But
yeah, 100%.
you've got it.
And I figured, you know what? Since this is the only gift I got, I am going to abuse it.
Yeah,
I'm going to
right.
take it to failure. I'm going to take my gift to failure
Yeah,
many,
yeah,
many, many, many times. But that's how you become exceptional. Is when you are willing to destroy and fail. And there's a
yeah.
little bit of darkness in that, but and sadness and blood and sweat and
Oh yeah,
tears. Definitely tears. But
oh yeah,
with all that being said, there's also a lot of joy and recognition and acknowledgement. And the more time you put into something, the more energy you expel into it. And then when you succeed, it's kind of like this bench we just built. Man, I've never seen
yeah.
anything like it.
No, not at
And
all.
I'm
But
not here to toot my own horn. I'm just saying, like, it's weird.
no,
It's weird how, you have a vision and you feel like you can execute it, and then, hopefully you can. Sometimes
yeah.
you
And
can't.
we've had a couple conversations with you, man, and my perspective, right? We each have our own story, but my perspective and my thing is just the same way I've learned, and I had somebody hold my hand, and I had somebody explain it to me. There's no reason why I want to do that to the next person, right? So I want to be able
Right
to
on.
to walk you through it and hold your hand and explain it to you and have that patience the same way somebody had it with me.
That
But
leads
holy
into your
smokes, though.
question. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
But for
Sorry,
you,
Tony. Go
but
ahead.
but for you, no, yeah. But for you to have figured all that, what were you cooking with? What was the first thing you heated up a board with?
Sonotubes and forced air heat.
So you just stuck a heater, like just a
Yeah, I screwed some
just
2x4s on the inside of a sonotube, put some forced air heat on it, blocked one end of it, and just let her rip.
and
And it was
why
very
did that come
inefficient.
about?
There was a couple guys in the nation that were doing it and trying things, and I was like, hey, I got to be on top of this, And there's a company locally that's in my local market that a gentleman, his name's Keith, that used to work for HeatCon, Keith Skogel, or
Yeah,
Keith Skoglund, and I had access to him.
yeah,
I had better access to him than most people in the nation did.
yeah.
So we developed a relationship, and it helped me propel my career. My wife, again, just like you, my wife bought me my first set of HeatCon heating blankets
Wow,
for my birthday one year.
wow.
And then
They're not
it was
cheap.
on. Talk about it's on. Oh man, it's on because I
Yeah,
was borrowing, and stealing
yeah,
before then.
yeah,
To heat a board. Then I was like, well, I'm not stopping at decking. I want to learn how to bend railing. And
yeah,
then it got nuts. Like I just got obsessed.
And we
yeah.
can talk about that more
In
the
our bonus episode,
That's
which is
right.
coming up right now.
Bum, bum,
Tony, we didn't even
bum.
scratch the surface. We got to have part 2. We got to do part 2. So there's no
Absolutely.
bones about it, guys. If you want part 2, leave a comment below. But we're not even getting close here, and there's too much more I need to know about you. We're gonna run into our bonus episode right now.
Right now.
So Calvin, hit that music. And thank you, Tony, for being on our podcast.
Thank you.
We love you, and you're a great guy.
Oh,
I
man.
I feel like I don't even know you still because we didn't get into it enough. But
Now we are.
But now we are.
Right
We're about
now.
to right now. So go subscribe to our Patreon channel and click subscribe, guys. Thank you for
Absolutely.
watching and listening to this podcast. Over and out.